You can get a state license, but you cannot operate until you have a state license. So that's one of the important things I want people to know. A lot of people are saying, oh, I'll get started. Please don't do that.
Right.
Because not only does the city of Los Angeles overwhelmingly support legalization, and we also did at the state, they've also put in some requirements and some consequences. So, for instance, a new consequence that they'll start to implement in the new year is property owners can be fined up to $20,000 per day.
Wow.
Per day. And the business, if they are facilitating illegal or non-compliant businesses. So we want property owners to know you might be enticed by the money, but you've got to do things right. So it's going to be very important. And we only have about 135 to 180, depending on who they are, what they call pre-ICO businesses that have permission to operate under the former medical. But we have over 1,400 illegal operations in the city of Los Angeles.
Wow.
So those are going to have to...
They're going to convert them?
Well, hopefully. We're telling people you need to make sure that you become compliant. And we don't want the city shutting down a lot of businesses that are compliant or that could be compliant, let's say that. So we're asking everyone to look at the regulations and get started now. Licensing of the state starts January 2nd. So everybody's moving towards that. Some other cities, the smaller cities, are saying, hey, come to our city because we'll give you a license right now and you can just start. We don't care because they're trying to draw away from the real brand is the city of Los Angeles. It is going to be the international market for the cannabis. This is the new gold rush here in the world.
I can imagine.
Wow.
And so we need to be at the table. There are many industries that we have not taken advantage of or were able to take advantage of, and we're just now making inroads like in entertainment and all those in terms of the dollars, ownership, control. But this one, we can start off in that position.
Now, let me ask this quick question about compliance. As you were talking about some of the homeowners or property owners who don't ensure that their businesses or the renters or their tenants are licensed with the state, then would your organization then send out compliance officers to try to encourage them to register or certify?
Well, we're not going to send people out, but we welcome people to our training programs. You can go to thinkandgrowlab.org, and you'll be able to register for the different training programs. We have one coming up on the 29th of this month, and we'll have one every month and maybe a few others. And we're partnering with other organizations also who offer training programs. So, yes, they will be able, and for our organization, we're focused on the application. We're focused on, getting you ready for J2, January 2nd. At both the city level and the state level. And we have gone through the applications and created several modules that'll help people walk through the process. Your organizational structure. A lot of, for most people, that's, are you a corporation? Are you sole proprietor? LLC, what are you? But the state is asking for a lot of details for your entity that you wouldn't normally have to disclose.
Okay.
You have to disclose, who your partners are, your spouses, what percentage ownership everybody has.
Which makes sense.
Because they're trying to keep the black market out, right?
Right.
And then there's other things that you'll have to do in terms of business filings and management of your organization. The finance side of it, we want to more people in our community become leaders in helping manage these organizations. So that's a top job right there, being able to understand how to manage the money. And as you know, this is an unbanked industry. So one of the things we're doing also is we're working to create a credit union and then eventually a bank, because
that's good.
Now it's a cash economy, which is not a good way to do business.
Right, exactly.
And then we're working with people on their site control and readiness. Right now, wherever your site is, you can only have retail sales, like dispensary, but they're called retail now, in commercial zones that are not next to sensitive uses, like a child care, a school, a park, a library, or a drug rehab center. So you need to make sure your site is compliant, or you will not get a license. Manufacturing and cultivation can be in the M zone, and that cannot be within 800 feet of a school, and all the other sensitive uses you're okay.
And that's where the classes are going to come in perfect, because we'll educate them about these things.
Yes.
Yes.
We also want to focus on what they call your standard operating procedures. You have to explain how you're going to operate, for the different type of licenses, retail, cultivation, manufacturing.
Yeah.
If you want to do delivery service, all of your delivery services that are out there, they're not operating under any rules and regulations right now.
Okay.
So they're going to have to, and we'll go over those things with people in the classes.
One thing I would add to this is a safety and hazard communication program as well.
Yeah, we have that under, under your compliance.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because there are a few things that are an issue with your compliance. One is seed to sale tracking. That means every single seed that you have is tracked all the way. And so I tell people that in your language, I said, how you're trying to work out QuickBooks? Well, the seed to sale tracking is QuickBooks on steroids.
Right.
So you need to sit down and learn this, because that's where the fine structure is created by the state.
Yeah.
You can be fined at so many levels for not doing things, even managing your waste in a proper way. So you want to avoid that, because that can add up.
Right.
$5,000 here, $5,000 there for a fine because you didn't do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
But the other issue is mold, mildew, making sure that the product is a safe product, and testing, sending it for any other kind of solvents and things like that. So those are things that have to be compliant. And then there's volatile and non-volatile manufacturing, so that you have to comply with all of the rules and regulations if you want to do volatile manufacturing. The city of LA, we're not sure if they're going to allow volatile, but other areas in the state do.
Okay.
And that's using like butane for extraction and things like that. So you might need to have one of those enclosed rooms, so in case anything blows up, not the whole building blows up.
Just that little room.
Just that room.
Well, that's what I was telling Gilbert, that based upon what we do, we've already talked about myself in the financial side, but Gilbert does a lot of under the compliance just in his regular building business, and then we have some associates do HR training and safety and OSHA. So we will come to you with a program to outline what we can do for this to make sure everyone stays in compliance.
Absolutely, because if we're going to help our people in our community transform, remember they're just dealing with it as cash now. They're not tracking.
Right.
Most people can't even tell you what their cost of goods sold are.
That's true.
Right.
And the accounting for cannabis is not the same. You don't get to depreciate anything. You actually don't even get a cost of goods sold. It's just cash in, cash out, how much you spent, your tax on the total amount. The tax for the medicinal product is at about 5%, and then the recreational or adult use is 10%. So, and each location can only be one or the other. You can't have both mixed together.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So and it has to be separated by a door, separate facility for cultivation or manufacturing or retail, and then your retail can't be within 800 feet. So if you want to operate multiple. Here in the city of LA, you'll only be able to operate under one license or person, 3 retail shops.
See, that's where the standard operating procedure comes in.
Oh my God, we have to focus on it and get people.
Oh, yeah.
This is a business. This is a business that is micromanaged.
Yeah, I'm looking at this and I'm getting excited. I'm going, wow, we can bring these in. We can do this. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And so we're very heavily focused on compliance, because we don't want people to spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars it's going to take to create these businesses and then be shut down because of something that they didn't do to stay compliant. But the other thing that we in Los Angeles are very proud of is that Council President Herb Wesson is creating something that's not in any other city. Oakland has a social equity program, and maybe another place, but I think the city of LA is going to be the gold standard, because we have a much bigger population and we're a much bigger city. And so what he's done, unlike most cities, he said, fine, we're going to make sure that our existing pre-ICO businesses are licensed first. Then thereafter, they're considering a registration for manufacturing and cultivation, not retail, for them to come out of the woods and become legal. But after that, it's a 1-to-1. And what that means is for every social equity license that's issued, other people can get a license. And so he's like, it can go 1 for 1 as long as we have to until we feel that we have issued enough licenses to people who were impacted by the war on drugs first. And I tell you, he's hold firm on that, and it is something that I think that's where we in our community have to step up. He set the framework for how this is going to work. So if it's going to happen, we need to train people on accounting. We need to make sure they understand compliance. We need to find them compliance sites, our real estate people. We need to make sure that, we're making sure that people, our young people are trained in this new opportunity. That's where all of our business development entities need to step up to the plate, or it will never happen. City has set the framework. So I tell people, even about Obama, he set the framework. Now, what are you going to do, right?
So now it's up to us.
It's up